My name is Bruno Lowagie. I'm from ITEXT, and today I'm going to talk about the creation of documentation, creation and distribution of documentation. It won't be all about PDF. We'll see some other document formats too. Now, I started my career in IT in '96. It wasn't in the PDF business, it was in the GIS business, Geographical Information Systems. And in the second year, I was confronted by my boss with a survey done by Esri. Esri is a big GIS company. And one of the questions, I'll summarize, one of the questions is, dear customer, what do you want more from us? Do you want more functionality, more features, or do you want more documentation? I was an engineer, so I said, well, all the customers, they will want more features, they will want more functionality. But the opposite was true. And the secret of success, according to the customers, was good documentation. So when I started writing ITEXT, the first thing I did, so ITEXT was released in 2000, the first thing I did was write a tutorial along with the source code. I can't find it anymore today, but I still have the tutorial of 2004, where you see that I created that tutorial in XML, and then every time I changed something, I had an automated process that applied the right HTML tags and that used CSS to present it. And that was actually how ITEXT made its first money, because there were some ads on the side of the tutorial, and you could see that all the competitors of ITEXT, Copaf, Big Faceless, and Antenna House were the first sponsors of ITEXT. Now, creating documentation in HTML from XML, it's really difficult. And the next step was people saw this tutorial and they said, hey, this is great documentation. Why don't you write a book? So the next time that happened after the tutorial in 2004 was I got a book contract offered by O'Reilly. And I said, but I can't write a book. I'm not a writer, I'm a developer. I'm an engineer. Engineers don't write books. That was what I thought. But then in April 2005, I received a second offer for a book by Manning. And so Manning Publications back then, they had about 50 books a year that they published, whereas O'Reilly had about 500 books. And I thought, if I have to choose, which publisher will I choose? The one that only has 50 books or the one that has 500? And then I thought, well, if one book at Manning fails, that's 2% of their yearly revenue, so they will invest in me. And so I went for Manning Publications. And how does that work? How do you write a book? Well, the first contact is with the publisher's assistant. And the publisher's assistant, he introduces you to the acquisition manager who helps you write a book proposal. And this book proposal, you have to create the whole table of contents up front and a summary. So you need to know up front what you will write about. And this book proposal goes to people in the industry. And you need like the approval of 4 to 5 people from the industry, like CTOs, CEOs, who say, this is a valuable proposal, you should offer this guy, you should sign a book contract with this guy. And so when you get a book contract, you have 5 deadlines. 1 deadline for chapter 1, 1/3 of the manuscript, 2/3 of the manuscript, 3/3 of the manuscript, and then after you have finished 3/3 of the manuscript, you have the final manuscript. And so, yeah, I started working. And how do you write a book? Back then, you wrote a book in Word, and so you got a developmental editor. The developmental editor helped you develop your book. For my first book, it was a science fiction author who helped me. And so I was a Java programmer. I was the original author of ITEXT. And this developmental editor, he had never written one single line of code. So I was like, are you going to tell me what to do? I'm Mr. ITEXT. But that didn't work. So that was a lesson in humility. I had to kind of change my mindset and say, hey, this guy is here to help me. And so once you have met the deadline, the review manager comes to you. And the review manager will send out your manuscript to different people, and these different people will reply by mail, and this mail will be anonymized, and they will give you feedback on your book. And if the feedback was okay, there will be a MEEP. MEEP was Manning Early Access Program. People could buy the book before it was finished, and they would get like the first 3 chapters, the first 6 chapters. So people were starting to read your book while you were writing it. PDF only came into play after 3/3 of the book. Then you had a copy editor who looked for all the typos and for the language. You had a technical editor who had to check all the examples. Do they work? Do they compile? Do they execute okay? A layout designer. So that was one of the burdens of working with Word. You weren't supposed to think about layout, but it's very hard to avoid this. When you are writing a paragraph and it doesn't fit the page, you change the paragraph to make it fit the page, and that's crazy because the final book will look differently anyway. And a proofreader, that's like I've read my book like 6-7 times before it was published, and still there were typos in it. A cover designer. And then the marketing manager, he gives you a go or a no-go for the book. Now, this was very difficult for my first book because I had been writing for 9 months, and then I got a call from the publisher, and he said, well, we all like you, and you met all your deadlines, and that's fine, but we don't think we're going to publish your book because we think it's not marketable. And so then the next effort was prove that the book was marketable. Now, eventually, that worked out. So the first edition of ITEXT in Action took me 3 months to prepare, 6 months to write, and post-production 9 months. So that was convincing marketing that the book could be sold. The second edition was faster, 6 weeks to prepare, 7 months to write, and only 4 months for the post-production. Now, the result was first edition sold 11,600 copies. A bestseller in IT world is like 5,000 copies. So from these 11,600 copies, 8,500 were sold on paper, so the actual paper book. 3,000 were sold as an ebook, so that's a PDF book. And the second edition, I made almost as much money selling less copies, but the money wasn't really that important. What was important for me was that James Gosling, he's the inventor of Java, he wrote a blog about the book. So the book turned out to be really good marketing. Now, disadvantages of writing a book for a publisher. Writing a book in Word is hard. Word is not, it's made for documents, it's not made for writing a 600-page book. And in the meantime, the writing process at Manning has been fine-tuned. There are other ways to to write a book. But then the other problem I had was that illegal copies, they appeared before I ever received the first copy of my own book. So I was very happy when I got my FedEx box with my first 50 copies of my book. But even then, already a month before that, I could find my book illegally on the internet. And so for the product, for ITEXT, that's not a problem, because the more the book is distributed, the more people get to know the book, and the more people get to know ITEXT. But for the publisher, obviously, that was a loss of revenue. A book is also expensive. So the book in the States was $50. In Europe, it was 60 euros. Don't ask me why the difference in price. But the author only gets 10% on the profit. And so there were people who bought the book, and they said, I spent 60 euros on it, and you're the author, you have made money out of me, so you have to answer my question. And so that's kind of strange, because on the 60 euros that he spent, I only got 1 or 2 euros, so that's a big difference. You don't own your own book. So we have customers at ITEXT, and we wanted to give our book like the free ebook, but we aren't allowed to do that because the copyright is with the publisher. And so what we had to do was we had to buy vouchers from the publisher, and these vouchers we could then hand them to customers, and customers then had to register with their email address with the publisher. So we were kind of doing the marketing, giving the leads to the publisher, and then these vouchers, after 3 months, they expired. So if a customer waited too long to use the voucher, then they phoned us, and we were the help desk of the publisher. So that's That's a disadvantage. And then also, a book is outdated by the time it's released, especially for the first book, when you see that it took 9 months to have the manuscript and 9 months post-production. That was a double pregnancy to make a book. In software, that's a long time. So I asked myself, can I write a book on my own? Can I do this myself? So when I wrote a book on digital signatures, again, I worked with Word, but it was a book of only 200 pages. That was still manageable, not a book of 600 pages. And I converted it to PDF, and I just put it online. But one of the disadvantages there, well, the advantage was I can offer it for free. I'm the copyright owner. I can do with it whatever I want, and many people will promote it because I give it out for free. But I didn't have any reliable statistics. So people would Google for a term, click on a link, and they would get the PDF with the book. And so I had about more than 5,000 downloads a month, but I didn't know, are these people who clicked on a link and just watched it once and were not really interested in it? Are these people who download the book multiple times? So I had no way to manage the audience. I didn't know who downloads the books, I couldn't inform people about updates, and there was no way to publish the same content on my website as HTML. Well, you could convert Word to HTML, but that's kind of tricky. So then I moved to LeanPub. What is LeanPub? LeanPub is an online publishing platform, and you write your text in Markdown. So you create all these small TXT files, you put them on Dropbox, and then you push a button on the LeanPub website, and LeanPub will take this Markdown text files from Dropbox, from your Dropbox, and will create a PDF, an EPUB, a .mobi. And then readers, they can subscribe. So the moment you say, I'm going to publish this book, people can start registering for your book. And an author can inform the readers. So the readers, they register with LeanPub. They can remain anonymous, but as an author, I have a form that I can fill out, and I can say, hey, dear person who subscribed for my book, I have just published an update of my book. If you're interested, you can download it. The author keeps the copyright and can choose to offer the book for free, or he can set a minimum price in the sense that for every sold book, LeanPub gets at least 50 cents, and then everything that is on top of the 50 cents, LeanPub takes only 10% of royalty. So as an author, it's a better deal in royalty-wise. Now, do we really need books? Maybe developers only need one book, and that's copying and pasting from Stackoverflow. So for those who don't know Stackoverflow, Stackoverflow is a website where developers can post questions, and they can tag the questions like C#, HTML, PDF download, PDF position, margin, TC PDF, and so on, JavaScript, PDF, AdSense. And so good questions get upvoted. So the top question there has one upvote and can be answered. So the open PDF file in browser got one answer. This question was probably a bad question because it was downvoted. And so people get credit, get reputation points for upvoted questions. They lose reputation for downvoted questions. The same goes for answers. So this is a question that was asked, ITEXT landscape orientation and positioning. I answered it. It was accepted. That's the green check mark. 15 reputation points for me. 28 upvotes. That's 28 times 10 extra reputation points. Some guy downvoted it. I don't know why, but that's -2 points in my reputation. Now, I talked about Markdown. Questions and answers on Stack Overflow are also created in Markdown. And that's what Markdown looks like. You see, when you indent something, it's source code. When you add these backticks, it's source code in your text. So it's a really easy way to create text. And why did at some point I stopped writing documentation, stopped writing books, because I registered on Stack Overflow and I answered questions there. Why? Because if you look at the statistics for the ITEXT site, you see that on the referral pages, Stack Overflow is #1. So 200 100,000 visits a year from 100,000 new users are generated from Stack Overflow. So I thought, why do I even write books if I can get get much more leads from a site like Stack Overflow? So do I really need to write books when I have a reputation of, well, that's 1,000 points ago, 1,000 reputation points ago, this slide, but I was ranked worldwide on place 1,621 out of almost 500 developers who are registered on the page. By the way, it's a nice way to measure who are the real masters of PDF. We have 2 masters of PDF present at this conference. Kurt Pfeifle has another talk. I'm one of the masters of PDF, and Michael Klink. And so we have at least a score of 1,000 on 200 non-community wiki answers and the PDF tag. So I really invite everyone to build a reputation so that there are more PDF Gold medals awarded. Now, writing books or writing questions and answers on Stack Overflow, what if I could combine these two? What if I could create a book from the questions and answers posted on Stack Overflow? First, can I do this legally? Yes, because all the questions and all the answers that are posted on Stack Overflow fall under the Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike license. So I can publish these examples as long as I attribute, as I say, this person has asked this question and this person has answered this question. So I can write a book with Stack Overflow content. It also writing a book about the questions and answers on Stack Overflow would also solve the problem of, I know I've answered this question before, but I can't find the answer. Google doesn't help me, Stack Overflow search doesn't help me. I really know that I've answered this question, but all the keywords give me other responses. And so by combining all the best answers, I was able to find the answers that were really valuable and mark questions as duplicate, because that's something you can do on Stack Overflow too. You can say, hey, this question has already been answered before, and then if you have a gold medal in some kind of technology, you can hammer down the question and completely close it because it's not a new question. And so so one of the problems of creating this great content on Stack Overflow is you create the content on somebody else's site. What if we could add these questions and answers on our own site? So we could create a repository of examples. So every time that I answered a question on Stack Overflow, I had an example, some piece of source code. And I put this on the ITEXT site, which generated the links, the hits, the visits. But the problem of these examples was that they were maintained in different places. We maintained them in GitLab, which is our source repository or versioning system. We store them on our website, so in HTML, and we store them in plain text in the plain Java code in the download area. So these were 3 different places where we had the same source code. So publishing revised. With all these problems that we have, how are we going to solve these? Well, the Q&A book was published on Stack Overflow. Stack Overflow uses Markdown. LeanPub uses Markdown. So I can easily copy-paste questions and answers so that they can be published on LeanPub. These are real-world questions. This is not just writing a book thinking of what could a user ask, what could a customer want. No, these are questions asked by actual developers who had an actual problem. A book is easier to query, but the disadvantage was maintenance of the manuscript was hell, especially maintaining the images. So you have a reference to an image and copying the images in the right place. So many times when I generated the book, I had like an image, and the image was a triangle with an exclamation mark, image not found. And it's still not published on our website because I just copied the Markdown, and there's no solution for publishing examples. So the next step was, let's build a new website. This is what GitLab looks like. So GitLab is a repository. Well, that's the site, the GitLab site, and you can see you have database, test Java, HTML, invoices, comfort Java. These are examples of the Zugfert book that I wrote. And what we want to do is we want to publish these examples on our site in an automated way. Also in an automated way that when we have some ITEXT object, like the chunk object, that people can click on it and they are referred automatically to our automatically generated API docs. On the bottom of this page, so if you would scroll down this page, we have a list with all the Java code, so the raw URLs. So this goes to GitLab. We have links to all the resources. So we had a quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So we had a bitmap with a dog and a bitmap with a fox. And then all the PDFs that result from these examples, they are all linked automatically on our site, because in our new website, we can link to GitLab. We can kind of register the examples that are of importance. We can make them, we can mark them as please display this code. So now with this new website, we have all the code in one single place in our GitLab repository, and all that is published on the website is generated automatically. So if we change something in our repository, it is changed automatically on our website too. So I didn't have to maintain 3 different versions of my source code. The website itself became an authoring tool. People who know the Zugfert standard, they recognize these images from the standard. And so this is the Markdown that I wrote, and the images were kind of submitted to the website on this page. And so everything was kept together on the website. And so instant gratification, you fill out some Markdown, you click on publish, and this is what the introduction of the Zugfert book looks like. And workflow, so sometimes you don't want to hit publish so that it's visible for the whole world, because you know I'm still working on it. So you can tweak and you can say needs review. Needs review means don't publish it straight away. Only the person who is writing the book can look at it. Workflow, once you publish, you can inform the translators, the people who translate it to a different language, hey, this page has changed. So one of the things that we experimented with the new website was the first language that we translated the ITEXT website into was Japanese. And so that was the test language. Does our website support 2 different languages? Now, once you have written a book on the website, like the Zugfert book, or in this case, the Jumpstart tutorial, you can hit the button and say, well, I want to export the LeanPub book, and I want to export it so that it has all these text files, and this is the structure that is needed for LeanPub. So you have all these text files, you have the images in a separate folder, you have the examples in a separate folder, and then what happens is you go to the LeanPub website, you push a button to preview, and what happens in your Dropbox, LeanPub creates an EPUB, a .mobi, a PDF of the full book, the preview of the full book, and the sample preview is what you give for free, like the first chapter is free for everyone. And so the result is, in this case, a 100-page ITEXT 7 Jumpstart tutorial. Now, we have 3 different formats, and we have statistics. So, for instance, the ABC of PDF with ITEXT, 16,735 readers, and of all these readers, 97.7% of the people downloaded the PDF, but maybe also other formats. So 78.7% only downloaded the PDF. And then you see another thing that is important there. Of the 16,700, almost 16,000 downloaded the book for free, and 774 paid for it. So what can we do with this information? Well, we thought of the ABC of PDF was given for free, so the minimum fee was $0, and so we saw that only a fraction of the people paid for it. So, for instance, for the Zugfert book, The Future of Invoicing, we said, well, the minimum price is $3.62. And so, if you want to read this book, you can register with LeanPub, you pay $3.62, and you get the book, and we don't know who you are. Only LeanPub knows who you are. But on the page, on the home page of the Zugfert book, we said, If you want the free version of this book, fill out the Get the Free ebook page on our website. And the free ebook page on our website is, you can get the ebook for free if you share your information with us. So this was a way for us to generate leads. We get to know who reads our books, and then in return, they get a voucher to get a book for free. If they don't want us to know who they are, they can pay for the book $3.62. It's not that expensive anyway. This is what we use at ITEXT, like sharing the book in two different ways. Pay it if you want to remain anonymous, or get it for free if you share your information. We have a customer called Bookboon, and they have a different model. Bookboon offers books for free. For instance, I want a Java book, I fill out Java, and what I have to do is, I want this Java book, object-oriented programming using Java. I have to say where I live, I have to give my email address, I have to say if I'm a student or if I'm working, I have to give my profession, IT, profession area, software, and I can download my book. I can download my book here, I get the book, I can share the book, I can promote it on social media, but how does Bookboon make money? Well, you can see it's created with ITEXT 513. No, it's not created with ITEXT 513. It's manipulated with ITEXT 513. What does Bookboon do? Every book has some free space, like a half-empty page. And they marked these half-empty pages. And I live in Belgium. I'm an IT guy, so I get an advertisement to apply for a job at an IT company. And obviously, as Bookboon works with ITEXT, they put an ITEXT ad in the book too. So this is a way of making money with free books. So the content is paid for with advertisements. Of course, reading a book, like students who want to, who have to do an examination and they want to study like a syllabus, it's hard to do that from an e-reader. They want to mark stuff with yellow markers, green markers. They want to write on pages. So they want these books in a printed way. But printing, it's bad for the environment, and the toner gets emptied, and so on. So another customer of ITEXT is Zero Copy. And they print documents for free for the students. So students upload a document, they convert them to PDF, they print them for free. How they, and students say, yeah, why pay for something that can be for free? Now, how does Zero Copy make money? Well, first of all, printing isn't good for the environment, but they use recycled paper. They use special fonts that kind of use less ink. And with ITEXT, so in Europe, all the pages are in A4. So what they do is with ITEXT, they shrink the content and they add ads targeted at students at the bottom. So every page has an ad, and it's the companies that put these ads on these pages that pay for printing the documents from the students. To be continued. Well, these are some new business models on how to distribute books and how to make money with content without really charging for that content. Okay. Many of you know, or if you don't know, you can hear it now, that ITEXT is now a member of the Hancom group. Hancom is a South Korean vendor of productivity software. Already in the late 80s, they had a format called HWP, which was a competing format for Word. And so they have software that can create or read Word documents, Excel, PowerPoint. They also have EPUB software. And so ITEXT, they didn't have PDF. They were a customer of ITEXT for the PDF part. So we joined forces, and in the future, we are going to work together on new software that combines all these document formats. And one of the products they have, currently only in Korean, is wepubl. wepubl, if you drop the W, if you drop the L, you have EPUB. So they were working on a system that allowed authors to collaborate with, for instance, photographers, who take pictures, with edit designers, with investors, with marketeers. So everything that I had at my that I could use at Manning Publications, the complete team of 15 people who helped me write the book. I lost that team when I started writing books on my own, but wepubl will be a platform where all these people can join, and where when an author creates a book, he can call for help from a photographer, from a designer, from someone who makes the cover page. And then when the book gets sold through that to that platform, the different stakeholders, the different authors get paid a percentage of the purchase price. Now, this was originally developed for EPUB, but of course, after the joint venture with ITEXT and knowing the numbers, how PDF is more popular than EPUB with readers, we are going to explore publication as PDF too. And then the second problem is e-readers. E-readers, they are not interactive. Well, you can add some stuff, but it's really consumption. And so another product that Hancom has developed is flexcil. And so from e-reader, electronic reader, we're going to go to an interactive reader, in the sense that, and maybe it's not that clear in the slide, but you can read the PDF, but then you can add your own notes, and you can kind of cut up the PDF while you're reading and insert extra information. And so all this information that you add, like you have a textbook, you have a thesis, you have Wikipedia information, you have a download file, a web report, all kinds of material, you merge it into your personal notebook. You can store this notebook in the cloud, so you can read it anywhere, but you can also share with other people. Like if you're working on a group project, different people can create the same notebook together. And so it's the image there is, it's a product that can detect movement, like if you swipe, but when you write with a stylus, which is sometimes easier if you want to add notes, it can detect the difference between the stylus and your hand resting on the tablet. So these are some new things that are in the pipeline at Hancom, and that with ITEXT we are going to further develop. So I hope that in the PDF Days 2017, I can give you a live demo of this, these products, flexcil and wepubl. So yeah, I think I'm almost in time, or yeah, okay. If you want to know more about ITEXT, we're in Boston, we're in Belgium, and we're in Singapore. Thank you.